Hi Kaya, welcome to ZoFit for your nutritional consultation. So you have filled out your form for me, which is really, really great. What we're going to go through today is basically what you need in relation to your goals, and then we're going to sort of go through, you've done a little food diary for yesterday for me. We're going to go through how we can get you closer to your goals nutrition-wise. So why don't you give me a little rundown on exactly what you're after? We'll go from there.
Well, my long-term goal would be to run a half marathon at roughly May next year.
You give yourself plenty of time, so that's good.
But short-term goals, in November there's the City to Surf, which is 15 Ks in Melbourne, and I'd like to be able to run that straight, no stopping, by November.
Yep. And the half marathon, are you planning to run non-stop as well?
Not necessarily. Okay. We'll see how that goes.
So see how the 15 goes, and then go from there. Okay. You've also written down that you would like to make healthier choices with your diet.
Definitely.
Do you want to just run me through that for a minute?
So, being a hairdresser and working 4 days straight, so my hours are Wednesday from 9 until 8 p.m, so it's 11 hours, and then Thursday's 9 till 9, so 12 hours, and then I got my Friday from 9 till 5:30 and Saturday 8 till 4.
Okay.
So it's pretty massive 4 days. So I don't feel like I struggle too much on my days off. I seem to make good choices most of the time. Sometimes I have a little sneaky moment, but I find that food prep is essential for when I'm working, so that I don't just go out and spend heaps of money on lunches and eat things that I don't necessarily need or want. So I do spend a lot of my day off on a Monday or Tuesday doing my food prep, making lunches, getting my snacks ready and stuff. But I guess more education on the types of food I should be eating during those times would be better. And obviously, eating less carbs on a day like that would be better. So like snacking wise, I think rather than eating giant meals for lunch because I'm so hungry because I've had no time to eat until my lunch break, I think like easy snacking options would probably be awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the benefit is as well that your goal is to run the first 15 Ks and then also do the half marathon. So the fact that you maybe getting a few more carbohydrates in there is probably a good thing. I mean, not maybe now you've written down that you're doing sort of 4 to 5 Ks a week. So maybe not now, but as your mileage grows, then the extra carbohydrates will actually help you out quite a bit. So that's the good news. So generally for a marathon or a half marathon runner, what we're looking at is a carbohydrate intake of about 5 grams to 7 grams of your body weight. So you've written here that your current body weight is around 88 kilos, give or take. So that's a reasonably significant carbohydrate intake. Obviously, because you work, the 4 days straight in a row, you're not exercising, then we could probably afford to have your carbohydrate intake a little bit lower on those days. But on the days that you are training and logging quite a few miles, especially as you get closer to your 15K mark, we do want you to be including quite a few more carbohydrates, especially around your training days. So you've written in your form here that so on the Sunday you run 3 to 4 Ks in the morning. On the Monday you do a 30-minute PT session, which I imagine is just for general strength.
Yeah, building strength for hairdressing mostly, so shoulders and neck and back and stuff like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Any leg stuff in there to help you out with your running at all?
Oh, bits and pieces, but I mostly
fantastic. And then you run on the Tuesday as well, and then obviously due to your schedule, there's nothing through the Wednesday to Saturday. But you are on your feet a lot.
I barely sit down. Hairdressing is pretty strenuous.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So what we really want to be looking at with you is making sure that on those, the Sunday through Tuesday, that's when you can afford to have the more carbohydrates in your system to help you with your run. Do you find that you get fatigued quite easily while running, or?
No, not necessarily through running, obviously, because it's hard.
Your lungs more so than your legs.
But I reckon I try to spend, on the Sunday and Tuesday, I probably spend at least an hour not doing much, just to kind of rest. But because I sleep really well through night, I'm fine.
Yeah, so you're finding that you're recovering really
well.
Okay, fantastic. So like I said, the 5 to 7 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight.
Yeah.
So we can calculate that out for you as well. Obviously, we're not going to sit here and do it off the top of our heads. So we'll go through that a little bit later. The other thing that we want to make sure that you're doing, as a long distance runner, is making sure that you're getting adequate protein.
Oh, yes.
So are you aware of what protein is?
Yes, it can be found in, meats, red meats, white meats, also lentils and other stuff.
And things like and things like eggs.
Yeah.
And some dairy products as well.
Yeah.
So as a long distance runner, we're looking between 1.2 grams per kilo of your body weight.
Yeah.
And between 1.2 and 1.8 grams. So that'll factor in depending on your height. And we'll have to find out what works for you will be the main thing.
Yeah.
How do you find that you go with your protein intake? Is that something that you've been working on, or?
I find that, I eat a lot of dairy, and I don't have any problem. My tummy doesn't not take dairy, and I eat at least one serving of white or red meat per day.
Yeah, fantastic.
So I feel pretty confident with stuff like that.
Yeah, well, just looking through your nutrition logs, so you had scrambled eggs on an English muffin with a coffee yesterday, just like a milk coffee. Yeah. And then for lunch you had your chicken noodle soup with your pieces of toast. Then for dinner you had your spaghetti bolognese with your garlic bread, and then your cup of tea and a couple of biscuits, and then water throughout the day as well. So from a both a carb actually and a protein point of view, you're actually looking really, really good based off yesterday.
Yeah. That'd be pretty regular.
That's quite normal for you to be.
But I find that probably that's a bit too many carbs for my days at work.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So do we need to then look at some options for you for when you're at work?
Yeah, I think I've just with snacking more than anything, and maybe like a breakfast option, because for breakfast I probably find that I struggle to find something that's going to fill me up until morning tea or lunch, depending, because with hairdressing you don't necessarily get to have a break just to have a snack.
Yeah.
But you get to have your lunch break, which can be, start at 9 and it could be at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're definitely wanting something to carry
fill me up,
through.
but it's still not necessarily like fattening. Like I don't want to have like a cheese and ham toasty. I want to have something.
So maybe we look at having something like oats with fruit. Do you like oats?
Yeah. I have muesli sometimes, but I guess because I don't make my own muesli, I don't necessarily like. There's always so much sugar in everything.
What goes into it?
Yeah. So you probably suggest making my own muesli?
You could make your own muesli if you like. I mean, it sounds as though you're quite time poor on those 4 days, so making your muesli would have to be something that you would dedicate time to on your Sunday or your Monday when your days off.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you can do, absolutely great. Yeah. It's always great to know exactly what goes into your food and make sure that you're getting enough of the right nutrients. Yeah. But you can just also go for your general rolled oats and add your own fresh fruit into it. Yeah. Mix some banana, some cinnamon, some honey, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
A couple of other options might be to do your smoothies.
Yeah.
So just
so cold.
It is quite cold at the moment. So maybe that's something to look at more as you go into, you said your 15 cases in September, so the weather will be starting to get warmer.
Yeah.
So we can look at doing those sorts of things and finding exactly the sorts of things that you like. I mean, it has to be tailored to you, so it has to be something that you like doing and will continue to do.
Yeah.
As far as your run days go, so we'll just move the focus a little bit now to focus on the best nutrition for your training, which is essentially what you're here for.
Yeah.
Do you find that you eat before a run?
No, never.
Doesn't make you feel very good?
Nope. Gives me a stitch. Barely even drink water.
Do you drink water much the night before if you know you're going for a run?
Well, because I'm really doing like 4 to 5 Ks. No,
not at the moment.
But that's something I'm definitely going to look into when I get probably more into the 15 Ks. Yes, no, but I have looked into the process of how that would go about.
Yeah, sure. And the thing that you want to remember with your 15 Ks as well is that all of the races pretty much start in the morning. Yeah. So you need to make sure that your nutrition is adequate, to keep the night before
and the day before.
And the day of as well. So
after.
That might be something. No, the day of, because if you're running, your 15 Ks, you need some sustenance for that. So, I mean, I know it sounds like you don't like eating food at all before going for your run, which is fine. I'm the same
I guess it's
in
something
some respects.
To get used to something like that. If you're going to go for the hardcore.
Yeah. So and for your half marathon, you'll
have to eat beforehand.
But this is so the thing that we sort of look at with that is making sure that they're simple carbohydrates, things that are really easy to digest, and things that are actually low in fiber, which a lot of people will often tell you otherwise, for the rest of your diet, you want to eat high fiber foods, but before a run, you want something that's not going to weigh you down. Yeah. So we want it to be lower in fat. Yeah. We want it to be high in simple carbohydrates. Yeah. A banana, for example, a piece of toast with jam on it, those sorts of things. Yeah. Just something to make sure that you've got enough energy to sustain yourself, but something that's not going to weigh you down. Yeah. It's very important as well for you to be testing these things before you go on your run. You don't want to get to the day of your run and then have cramps and stitches because you've tested something out the day of rather than in the lead up to it. So that's something that I would strongly encourage as you are building your mileage. We want you to be sort of experimenting with things. On the day of your half marathon, for example, there's gels and sports drinks and things that can help you keep your carbohydrates up, which might be easier for you to stomach. So we can look at those. You will definitely need some intra-workout nutrition. While you're doing the workout. And you'll have to figure out where to station those things and what's available on the day and things like that. So, do you have any questions for me up at this point right now? I feel like I've talked at you a lot. I just want to make sure you're understanding.
No, I'm taking it in. I feel pretty good so far. I guess when it comes to the time where I'm doing my half marathon, we'd go more into detail with what needs to be done.
And quite probably before you're 15 as well.
And like my long-term goal is not necessarily going to be May. It might be next May.
You might push it out depending on how you go with the 15K in September.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty good so far.
Yep, no problems at all. So one thing that I really want you to look at as well, and you can start implementing this now rather than later down the track, is making sure that you are adequately hydrated. So making sure that you're getting water with every meal. For every kilo that you lose through exercise, you want to be replacing that up to 150%. Okay. So say that you lose, a kilo. So you weigh yourself before a run, an intense run, and then you come and weigh yourself afterwards. If you've lost a kilo, you want to be drinking 1.5 litres of water. Okay. Yeah. So those sorts of things we want to do. It's a lot easier to make sure that you're adequately hydrated from the start of the day rather than trying to catch up later in the day.
Yes.
So I know that for you as a hairdresser, it would probably be quite hard to keep your hydration up on those days. Would that be about right?
I'm pretty good, to be honest. I've always got my drink bottle going out the back, so even I'm mixing up a colour or I'm just waiting for somebody to finish at the base and whatever, I'm pretty onto it. Fantastic. But there are times where I'll go a few hours without having anything.
Yeah. So, I think the fact that you do your workouts mainly on the Sunday, the Monday and the Tuesday, as long as we're making sure that you're adequately hydrated from the Saturday night. Yeah. I mean, hydration all the time is good, but from the Saturday night basically until the Tuesday night, that will be a good habit to get yourself into in the lead up to your race. And you'll find as you're running, if you have any, I've got too much water in my system and I'm getting stitches and things like that, you can work those out when the time comes. Just quickly look at my notes here. When it comes to your events, and obviously we will go through this closer to the event if you'd like. Your pre-event meals are probably quite important, especially with your half marathon. So have you heard of a term called carb loading before? That's what we would look at having you do. So making sure that you're filling your muscles up basically with as much energy as they can get, so that on the day you don't fatigue as quickly. Do you have any questions about that?
No, I've not yet anyway. Now that I'm still just at the 5K mark, I'll probably just get more into detail when it's more relevant.
No problems at all. So, I mean, as far as, eating things before and eating things after, I'm sure you've heard that your post-workout nutrition is quite important. So just making sure, like I was saying with your fluid intake, that you're getting enough fluid in even after when you lose the kilo, but also just making sure that you get food in after as well, especially after a long run. Like you say, probably not as important now at the 5K mark, but as you sort of approach the 10K.
And do you have any special meals that you would suggest, or do you, or just like high carb?
Just something that's a carbohydrate and a little bit of protein just to help your muscles
repair themselves
and bounce back a little bit.
Yeah.
So
nothing specific.
Nothing specific.
It's a decent meal.
Yeah. So and that's the thing with all of this. You want to be avoiding junk foods as much as possible. Eating as many whole foods as possible. Yeah. Especially when it comes to your recovery. Things like alcohol are going to impair your recovery.
Yeah, definitely.
You wrote down that you only have sort of 1 to 2 drinks at a time, so it doesn't sound like you're a huge drinker.
Yeah, not really.
So just making sure as much as possible that you're eating whole foods. So like with your question, your post nutrition, a piece of toast would be great with a bit of cheese for a little bit of protein.
Yeah.
You can have a post-workout shake if you want, like a protein shake.
Yeah.
It's not really going to make a huge difference as long as it's coming from a good quality nutrition source.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
That's pretty much what I've got for you. If you have any other questions.
No, it seems pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Cool.
What else to say?
Well, thank you very much for coming in today.
Yes,
what I will end up doing is writing up basically a little report on everything that we've talked about. So I know I've thrown a lot of information at you today. So I'll email that through to you so that you can look back on that. Yeah. And it's sort of set out nicely for you. If you have any questions from there, you can always get back into touch with me and we'll come back in for another appointment.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kaya.
No worries.